were discussing chapter number 4. It is Animal Kingdom. In this chapter till now we have discussed the few phylums like Porifera, Coelenterata, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata and the Chordata. In the previous session we have started with the Chordata. You know that this Chordata can be divided into two types. First Agnatha and the second one is Gnathostomata. In this Agnatha and Gnathostomata we have finished with the Agnatha. Its class is Cyclostomata. Now we are going to starting with another, that's a Gnathostomata, means those animals with a jaw. Those animals with a jaw can be further classified into two types. So let's discuss the Gnathostomata. This Gnathostomata can be further classified into two types. The first one is called as Pisces and the second one is called as Tetrapoda. Clear? Pisces, that includes the variety of a fish and that is further classified into a two types or two classes, Chondrichthyes and the second one is called as Osteichthyes. These are the two parts. Now this Tetrapoda though means those who have four legs, that is again classified into four classes. First is called as amphibians. Second is called as reptiles. Third one is called as aves. And the fourth one it's called as mammals. So these are the four classes of a tetrapoda, those who have a four leg. We have to discuss each class in detail. Today we are going to start with this Chondrichthyes and the Osteichthyes. Okay, that means that includes a variety of the fishes. So that we will discuss today. Okay, so let's start with first you can say that Chondrichthyes and the Osteichthyes. Now students, listen that we will learn this Chondrichthyes and Osteichthyes as a difference. So it will be a lot easier for you to understand what is the difference that exists and its characteristic. Okay. So first one is it's a habitat where this kind of fishes that can be found. So I first start with it's a habitat where it is going to be found. The Chondrichthyes, they are marine. Marine means it can be found into the sea water. Whereas the Osteichthyes, the habitat is aquatic. Aquatic, that means it can be found in both fresh water as well as marine water. So it can be found in the aquatic habitat, means fresh water and the marine habitat, both kind of the habitat, this Osteichthyes is found. Okay, so this is the first difference that exists between it, that is its habitat. Now, see, they are the phylum, they falls under the phylum the Chordata. So it follows the basic criteria of Chordata. So we will not discuss that basic criteria because we have already studied into a previous session. Like they have a organ system level of organization, they are triploblastic, they have a bilateral symmetry, they are coelomates. This characteristic we have already discussed in the previous session. So that we will not discuss. We will see first the differences and then the common characteristic. Next, here if you see in the Chondrichthyes, then their endoskeleton, it's made up of cartilage. So that means you can say that they have a cartilaginous endoskeleton. Whereas in this Osteichthyes, their endoskeleton, it's made up of its bones. That means they have a bony endoskeleton. Okay, so this is a difference. The Chondrichthyes has a cartilaginous endoskeleton and the Osteichthyes has a bony endoskeleton. Next, here if you see in the Chondrichthyes, here 5 to 7 pairs of gills, they are present. How many pairs of gills are present? 5 to 7 pairs of gills are present. Whereas in osteichthyes, there is a presence of 4 pairs of gills are present. How many pair of gills are present? There is a 4 pairs of gills are present. The another difference that exists between the chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes, in the chondrichthyes, the gills are not covered. Gills are not covered. And here, in this, the gills are covered. Okay. So in another word, say that the covering of that gills, it's called as operculum. So here you can say that the operculum means a covering. The operculum is absent. Okay. Whereas in osteichthyes, the operculum, that means a covering which is surrounding to gills, is present. This is the characteristic you can find. Okay, operculum is absent in gills and the operculum is present in case of osteichthyes. Okay. Next difference you can find here in the chondrichthyes, the mouth is present on the ventral surface. Okay, that means the mouth is present on the ventral. Whereas in osteichthyes, the mouth is present terminally. Means it's present at the anterior end. Terminal, anterior means agarnival. So it's present anteriorly and it's present terminally. Okay, this is the mouth that you can find in osteichthyes. Okay, here if you see, it's a skin. This skin that is covered by a scales. Which kind of a scale you can find? Here there is a presence of placoid scales. Placoid scales are present on the skin of chondrichthyes. And in osteichthyes, the scales present are the cycloid or ctenoid scales are present. Which kind of scales are present? Cycloid or the ctenoid scales are present. Okay, so this is the next difference that is exists between them. Okay. Next, in this chondrichthyes, if you see that here, the caudal fins means the fins which are present posteriorly. The caudal fin is heterocercal. Heterocercal means they have two different sizes of caudal fins. Whereas here in osteichthyes, the caudal fins, they are homocircle. Clear? So this is the characteristic you can find in them. Okay. Here in chondrichthyes, the fertilization it occurs internal. So internal fertilization occurs. Whereas in osteichthyes, the fertilization is external. Means it occurs outside a body. In case of chondrichthyes, the fertilization it occurs inside a body. That means internal fertilization. In case of osteichthyes, the fertilization that occurs outside a body. Okay. The next characteristic you can find is that these animals, chondrichthyes, they are the animals which are viviparous. Means it gives a birth to a baby. But here, the osteichthyes, they are oviparous animals. Clear? That means they lay down the eggs. So this is somewhat the differences that exist between the two different kind of the pieces, what we call it as chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes. First of all, we will discuss its difference and then we will discuss its common characteristic. So say, chondrichthyes, they are marine, found in the sea water, but the osteichthyes, they are aquatic, can be found in both kind of a water, fresh water and the sea water. In chondrichthyes, its endoskeleton is a cartilaginous. In osteichthyes, its endoskeleton is a bony. In chondrichthyes, 5 to 7 pairs of gills are present. In osteichthyes, 4 pairs of gills are present. In chondrichthyes, the gills, they are not covered by covering, means operculum is absent. But in case of osteichthysis, the gills, they are covered by a covering, that means operculum is present. Here they possess the exoskeleton. As an exoskeleton, their skin is hard and they possess scales. In a chondrichthysis, the type of scale that is present is a placoid scale. In case of osteichthysis, the type of scale that is present is a cycloid or the ctenoid scales. Next, in chondrichthysis, the caudal fins, that is the last fins, they are heterocercal, and in case of osteichthysis, the caudal fins are the homocercal. In chondrichthysis, the fertilization is internal. In osteichthysis, the fertilization is external. The chondrichthysis are viviparous animal, and the osteichthysis, they are the oviparous animal. So these are the differences that exist between the chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes. Okay. Now see, what are the common characteristics? There are also few common characteristics which are common to both. So you can write it down in both. So here the first common characteristic that you can find, that sexes are separate. Means they are dioecious animal. Male and female to different sexes are present. They are the dioecious animal. Okay. Second, here you can say that they undergo a sexual reproduction, and here they are poikilothermous. They are poikilothermous. Poikilothermous, that means they are cold-blooded animal. And what is the meaning of cold-blooded animal? The cold-blooded animal, that means they doesn't need to maintain their body temperature. Both are poikilothermic. Means they don't need to maintain their body temperature. Like if you see in the human being, they are homeothermic, means that body temperature is maintained. Like our body temperature is maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. If it goes above it, then we are calling it as fever. But here they are cold-blooded animals or poikilothermics, means in this the body temperature is not maintained. So these are the few common characteristics you can find in both. Okay, the chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes. So if you write down the points, you can make a note on the chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes. But with the help of a difference, it is very easy to learn this chondrichthyes and the osteichthyes. So that's all about the pieces that covers all the variety of the fish. Okay, so that we have finished over here. Now we are moving ahead with a tetrapoda. These are the pieces. Now we are moving ahead with a tetrapoda. And in tetrapoda, the first class is the amphibian. So today we will also discuss regarding the amphibian, that is falls under the tetrapoda. So let's start with the amphibians. So we will also discuss today the amphibians. So what are the amphibians? First of all, why they are called as amphibians? Because if you see their habitat, they can be found on both, or they can live on both water and land. Like we are the terrestrial animal, we can live on the land. Okay, but these are the animals that can be present on both water and land. So they can live in water and on land, both. That's why we are calling it as amphibian. Amphi means both. So they can live on both land and water. That's why we are calling it as amphibians. Okay. So if you see its characteristic, they also follow the common characteristic of chordata, because the tetrapoda that also falls under the phylum chordata. So they have a notochord. Notochord is present throughout their life. They have a organ system level of organization. They have a bilateral symmetry. They are coelomates and they are triploblastic. These are the divisions you can find. Now if we talk about their body is divided into segments. And which segments? And that is divided only externally. So the body is divided into two parts. Which two parts? head and trunk. These are the two parts in which their body is divided, head and trunk. But there are also exceptions. There are some exceptional. Those animals also have tail. But their body also have a tail. But that is not found in every amphibian. There are few amphibians which also possess tail in addition of a head and the trunk. But in majority of the amphibian animals, their body is divided into a head and the trunk. Now, as you know that their body, or they can live on both land and water, so they don't have a scales, okay? But instead of that, they have a soft, moist skin. This is the characteristic. What kind of skin they have? Soft, moist skin is present, okay? So this is the characteristic, and they don't have a exoskeleton like what we have observed into our previous classes, chondric thighs and the ostick thighs. They have a scale as an exoskeleton, but they don't have an exoskeleton because their skin is soft and it is a moist. Okay, this is the characteristic you can find. Now you know that there are different systems that exist in them. Okay, so what is the different system that is exist in them? Here the first, when we talk about the respiratory system, how they respire. Okay, so the respiratory organs in them may be either of this or all of this. Like they respire through skin, lungs and gills. These are the respiratory organs that you can find in amphibians. They respire through a skin, lungs and the gills. So this kind of respiratory system that is present in them. Now regarding the circulatory system, in the circulatory system, if we talk about its heart, then their heart is 3-chambered. You have to remember that their heart is 3-chambered. Okay, in a 3-chamber, the 2 chambers are the auricle. You can also call it as atria, and the one is ventricle. So there are the 3 chambers are present, 2 auricles and 1 ventricle. Total their heart consists of 3 chambers. If you talk about the human being, the human heart consists of 4 chambers, 2 auricle, 2 ventricle. You might have studied it in a 10th standard. But here their heart consists of 3 chambers, 2 auricle and 1 ventricle. One thing that is left in the previous class, that's chondric thighs and the ostick thighs. That means the fish. In the fishes, it is a 2-chamber heart. You have to remember one thing. In the fish, you can find the 2-chamber heart. Means 1 auricle and 1 ventricle. These are the only 2 chambers that can be found into a chondric thighs and ostick thighs. But here, in amphibians, you can find the 3-chamber heart, which consists of 2 auricle and 1 ventricle. This is the characteristic of these amphibians. Okay. Now, when we talk about its digestive system, the digestive system is complete. But here, these 3 systems, they are connected. That's alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, that means the tube which is running from mouth to anus. This is called as alimentary canal. Urinary tract means a tract which is responsible for generation of a urine. And reproductive system or reproductive tract. All these open into a common opening. They all open into a common opening. And this common opening, it's called as cloaca. What it is called as? Cloaca. Remember, these all 3, alimentary canal, urinary tract and the reproductive tract, they commonly opens into a single chamber. We call this single chamber as a cloaca. So this is one of the important questions that is going to be asked. Okay, all this tract, they unite or they collect into a single chamber called as a cloaca. Okay. Now, apart from that, when we discuss regarding their eyes and ears, regarding the ears, they don't have external ears like we have external ears. Even they don't have internal ears, but their ear is remarked as the ear. They have as a ear, they have a tympanic membrane. With the help of this tympanic membrane, they hear different sounds. And their eye, as they are living into a land and water both, their eye is covered. There is a covering which is surrounding to their eyes that protects the entry of a water into an eye. So this kind of a ear and the eye, both kind of a sense organs that can be found into a class amphibians. Okay. Now regarding, if you talk about the reproductive system, here the sexes are separate. Means they are the dioecious animal. Okay. The sexes are separate. Next, the another one is, if you see, then here it is the fertilization. That means a fusion of gametes that occurs outside a body. That means it is an external. Okay, the fertilization is external. Okay. Next thing, if you see that, then they are oviparous animals. That means they gives egg. Okay, they gives an egg outside a body, usually in the medium of water. Okay, so this is the characteristic you can find in them. Okay, and the development may be either direct or indirect. So these are the characteristics you can find into a class amphibians. I again going very fast. Why they are called as amphibians? Because they can live in both water and land. Here their body is usually divided into two parts, head and trunk. But some or few amphibians also have a tail. They don't have an exoskeleton, but they have a moist and the soft skin. They respire through a skin, lungs or gills. Their heart is three-chambered, consisting of two auricle and one ventricle. The alimentary canal, urinary tract and the reproductive tract, they commonly open into a single chamber. We are calling it as cloaca. As a ear, they have a tympanic membrane. In the eye, their eye is covered, which prevents the entry of a water into it. They are dioecious, means sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. They are oviparous. Development is direct or indirect. So these are the characteristics you can find into a class amphibians. And there are few examples. Which are the examples? Here the most important example of amphibian is the frog. Even the second one is salamander. This is the example, frog and the salamander. Okay? And you know that these amphibians, they falls under a class tetrapoda, means they have a four limb. So if you see the frog or the salamander, they have a four limb, two upper limb and the two lower limb. Four limbs are present. But there is a one exceptional animal, that is amphibian, that falls under a tetrapoda, but it doesn't have a limb. So I will tell you the name of animal. It is ichthyophis. It is a limbless. This is an exception. Limbless amphibian. Usually the amphibians have a four limb tetrapoda. They falls under tetrapoda. But this is an exceptional. Ichthyophis. It is a limbless amphibians. They don't have a limb. It's look like a snake. You might have seen a snake. Snake doesn't have a limb. But that is not comes under the reptiles. Okay, it comes under the amphibian. This is the exceptional. Ichthyophis is a limbless amphibian. Okay, this is just a one exception that you can find into a class amphibians. So students, today we have discussed regarding chondric thighs, osteichthyes, thighs, and we have finished regarding the class amphibians. Regarding the reptiles, aves and the mammals, we will discuss in the next session. Okay, till then students, keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.